My final presentation is on the evolution of female roles in Disney animation films and how Walt Disney's original princess films paved the way for Disney's princess films to come. To start off, Walt Disney is an American entrepreneur, animator, and producer who co-founded Walt Disney Productions. Most are familiar with the popular theme parks Disney World and Disneyland, where the princesses help put smiles on kids' faces. However, where did the beloved princesses originate from? The enchantment of Disney's princesses would not come to life without the work of Walt Disney. Walt released the first ever princess film and first feature-length animation film in 1937 with the releasing of Snow White. Cel animation was used to produce this 2D film, and this meant that characters were hand-drawn or painted on transparent sheets that were laid on top of still backgrounds. And cel animation allowed for characters to have distinct personalities and movements so that viewers can gain an emotional connection to the characters. The classic era of Disney animations include the original Disney princesses and starts the princess genre. This includes Snow White, Cinderella, and Aurora. The animations are based off of fairy tales where the princess needs to be rescued by a prince. And the princesses are passive and temperate and fit into the beauty standards. There's a reoccurring happily ever after motif in these films where the princess marries the prince. Following the death of Walt Disney, whose last princess animation was Sleeping Beauty, the Renaissance era arose and gave birth to the following characters: Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, Pocahontas, and Mulan. This era begins to subtly hint at feminism, as the heroines are shifting to be looking for independence and power as opposed to a prince to come and save them. Their personalities are more defined as they become curious of the world around them. And this era gave birth to the first colored princess, as well as it defies the conventional beauty standards in the classic era. Next is the New Age era, known as the Independent Woman era. This era includes Tiana, Rapunzel, Merida, Elsa, Anna, and more. And feminism themes are very prominent and pave the way for what Disney female heroine films look like in the future. There's no motive present of princesses needing someone. There's no happily ever after motif, as these characters are independent and determined, and the themes are focused on their self-growth and their journey for self-independence. To start off, Snow White is a cel animation film that allows for viewers to see characters that are not flat-facing but have personalities and movement. The extreme long shot seen at the top right depicts the happily ever after ending, where the prince saves the princess and they're heading towards the castle. Snow White is portrayed as fragile and ideally beautiful as she's laying in the bed. She's all dolled up in makeup and she has a petite body size. A theme present in this is kindness and jealousy, and her character simply maintains and outkeeps the house because she's very domesticated as a character. Next is Cinderella. A medium shot is used in the happily ever after ending to show their love for each other. Cinderella's character is portrayed as the typical American girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. The ending portrays Cinderella finally marrying her prince. Cinderella is very petite and her character is more developed than Snow White as she faces the brutality of her stepsisters. However, Cinderella is awarded for her kindness by getting to marry the prince at the end. Next is Sleeping Beauty. Heroism of the prince establishes the happily ever after ending. Aurora is gifted beauty, not intelligence or personality. When she awakes, a close-up of her beauty is visualed in this medium shot. A theme that's present is true love conquers all. The true love is what was able to wake her from her sleep. Next, the Renaissance era begins with Ariel, who differs from the typical classic era princesses as she wants to explore life on land and rebel against her parents. A happily ever ending is still present in this close-up shot. However, Ariel's character is more unique and she has more personality as she has a unique costume and she wants to be her own person. And then in this era, the 3D animations arise, and the theme is alienation and unrequited love. So the themes are getting more complex as the characters are beginning to find themselves more instead of the themes being based off of them finding love. Next is Pocahontas. Disney's animations shift away from fairy tale and more towards folklore and myths. A long shot angle at the end depicts the steer away from Disney's A Happily Ever After ending. The film portrays the conflict between Native Americans and English settlers. Pocahontas demonstrates bravery as she decides to stay with her tribe instead of leaving on the ship with her lover John. This animation scratches the surface for culture to be added into Disney's animation films, and princesses and women of color are now the heroine in Disney films. Next in this era is Mulan. Mulan is about her character defying Chinese laws instead of finding a fairy tale true love. Mulan's love interest is in the background of the story for the first time in Disney princess animations. This film is more focused on her journey and self-growth. Mulan's character is not dressed in a feminine way, and she has brave facial expressions, which is seen in the snapshot to the right. The film sheds light on cultural issues as it suggests that protagonists of color are not entitled to a life of leisure and privilege that white Disney princesses enjoy. And the themes are constantly getting more complex as this one supports subverting the norm and sexism. Next in this era is Princess and the Frog. It's the first African American princess in Disney animation, and it's the last hand-drawn Disney animation. There is a fairy tale setting and costume design, but she is the first Disney princess to have a paid job, and she defines what it means to work hard. She has a goal to fulfill her father's dreams of opening New Orleans' finest restaurant. Then she's interrupted by her unexpected transformation into a frog, where she kisses the enchanted Prince Naveen. However, the theme isn't about finding true love, it's about her hard work and how the frog setback has set her back from her goal, but she still maintains her goal. Next is the new era, and this starts with Tangled. And it has a depiction of beautiful stereotype in woman. Once again, it's kind of backtracked since Princess and the Frog. However, Rapunzel embodies a fearless and determined character as she goes against her mother's rules. She pursues her dreams of leaving the tower and experiencing the new world. The wanted signs in the snapshot to the right depict how she is rebellious because she is exploring with the wanted character. Previous princesses would not get involved with criminals. Next is Brave, where she's the first fully independent Disney princess. There is no male counterpart. Merida is portrayed with untamed hair and ragged clothing to illustrate her defiance against gender stereotypes, and that can also be seen in the picture to the right. Merida is a true hero and not a dependent female counterpart, and a bow and arrow as a prop establishes masculine energy and her passion, and she has no desire to get married because archery is her passion. Lastly is Frozen. In the medium shot to the right, you can see Elsa and Anna's love for each other as they stare at each other in the eye. In the classic era animations, we would see a prince and a princess staring at each other in the eye in this happily ever after ending. Elsa's character embodies beauty standards, so once again we're taking a bit of a step back because we're going into the beauty norms of blonde hair, blue eyes, skinny body. This is not a typical love at first sight animation, as it is replaced by sisterly love and the bond the sisters have. because one of their male counterparts ends up becoming a villain for the first time. And a theme in this film is sisterhood and independence. And all of the new era animations have an occurring theme of independence in the female characters. To conclude, Walt Disney introduced the first full-length animation film. He introduced the princess genre, but since his death, it has constantly evolved in the growing feminism movement. The classic era princesses are the definition of gender stereotypes, and growing away from this, the Renaissance era princesses are still feminine, but embody masculine attributes of athleticism and independence as they're gaining more of a personality. Male counterparts are still present. And finally, the New Age princesses steer away from a male counterpart and only portray the princesses as the heroines. Lastly is my works cited.